Hey Blues fans, glad you made it. Welcome to another episode of This Week in the Blues. It's our weekly take on blues history. I'm your host, Jimbo Big Train Madsen with the Big Train and Locomotives Blues Band. Anyway, let's take a look and see what happened this week in blues history. Henry Mule Townsend was born way back in October 27th, 1909. This blues singer, guitarist, and pianist was influenced by Roosevelt Sykes and Lonnie Johnson. He was a commanding musician, adept on both piano and guitar. During the 20s and 30s, Townsend was one of the musicians that helped make St. Louis one of the blues centers of America. Townsend arrived in St. Louis when he was around 10 years old, just before the 20s began. By the end of the 20s, he had landed a record contract with Columbia, cutting several tracks of open-tune slide guitar work for the label. Chicago blues and soul guitarist L.V. Banks was born October 28th in 1932. Banks was born in Stringtown, Mississippi, and he taught himself to play the guitar and fronted a blues band in Greenville, Mississippi. Banks moved to St. Louis before he was drafted in the U.S. Army. After his duty was over, in the early 60s, he relocated to Chicago. He played on Maxwell Street, and later was a regular fixture for over 3 decades in local clubs, particularly on the South Side. Banks' debut album, Let Me Be Your Teddy Bear, was released in June 1998. Queen of the Boogie, Hadda Brooks, was born October 29th in 1916. She sang at Hawaii's statehood ceremony in 1959 and was asked for a private audience by Pope Pius XII. Brooks preferred ballads to boogie-woogie, but worked on her style by listening to Albert Ammons, Pete Johnson, and Meade Lux Lewis records. Her first recording, Swinging the Boogie, was a regional hit in 1945. She was inducted into the Rhythm Blues Foundation Hall of Fame in 1993. Fleetwood Mac founder Peter Green was born October 29th in 1946. The English blues guitarist first learned guitar at the age of 11 and soon mastered the instrument. In October 1965, Green had the opportunity to fill in for Eric Clapton in John Mayall and the Bluesbreakers for 4 gigs. Soon afterwards, Green became a full-time member of Mayall's band. In 1967, Green decided to leave the Bluesbreakers, with Mick Fleetwood and John McVie forming Fleetwood Mac. Blues classic Baby Please Don't Go was recorded by Delta blues musician Big Joe Williams on October 31st, 1935 in Chicago. Now, many cover versions followed, and it's become one of the most played, arranged, and rearranged pieces in the blues history. It features Williams on vocal and guitar, Dad Tracy on one-string fiddle, and Chasey Kokomo Collins on washboard. Blues singer Julia Lee was born October 31st, 1902 in Boonville, Missouri. She's sometimes categorized as a dirty blues singer because of some of the lyrics of her songs like King Size Papa, Snatch and Grab It, and the Spinach Song. Lee was raised in Kansas City and began her music career around 1920, singing and playing piano in her brother George Lee's band, which for a time also included Charlie Parker. Blues piano player Little Johnny Jones was born November 1st, 1924 in Jackson, Mississippi. In 40 short years, he established himself as one of the greatest piano players ever to hit the Chicago blues scene. Jones arrived in Chicago from Mississippi in 1946 with Little Walter and babyface Leroy Foster. Jones is best known for his rock-solid accompaniment to slide guitarist Elmore James. Jones also joined Tampa Red's band in 1947. Blues and gospel legend Sippy Wallace was both born and died on November 1st. She was born back in 1898 and passed away in 1986. She started performing in the 1920s. Now, Wallace kept performing and recording until her death. She was a major influence on a young Bonnie Raitt, who recorded several of Wallace's songs and performed live with her. Mississippi Hill Country blues singer and harmonica player Johnny Woods was born November 1st, 1917. His harmonica playing first gained attention in the 1960s when he was a duet partner with the guitarist and singer Mississippi Fred McDowell. Now, they recorded a number of records together starting in 1967 for a variety of labels. The founder of Peacock Records, Don Robey, was born on November 1st, 1903. As the eventual owner of Duke Records, he was responsible for developing the careers of many rhythm and blues artists in the 1950s and 60s. Now, some of these artists included the likes of Big Mama Thornton, Bobby Blue Bland, Otis Rush, Junior Parker, and Clarence Gatemouth Brown. Well, blues fans, we just covered some of the highlights here. Now, if you want to know more about these artists or other things that happened this week in the blues, be sure to follow our social media pages or visit our website at bigtrainblues.com. Now, we'll have a brand new episode next week, so we'll see you then.